In this week's episode, we took a road trip to Maryland and Virginia. We left in the middle of the night so Atlas didn't have to be stuck in the car for most of it. He slept until we stopped at a diner for some delicious breakfast. Next we went to NASA Wallops Flight Facility Visitor Center. Then we arrived at our home for the next 2 nights, Kiptopeke State Park. We used Rob's parents' old tent and one of the poles was dry rotted, so Rob had to improvise with a stick, but it did hold for the 2 nights at least. It was a really cool and beautiful park to stay at. We were given a spot right next to the path that led to the beach, which was really neat to be able to easily walk to it.
Oh, jeez. Oh, birdies.
You see it coming. You silly.
Where are you going?
Atlas.
Going for a hike. Hey, buddy. Hey. Hey. Hey.
We usually use the front wrap we have for Atlas when we go on hikes, but we decided to get this one for our trip since it has more support for him and a zippered area for storage. You can see he loves this backpack too. He fell asleep almost instantly in it. In case you're wondering, that big patch on my forehead is poison ivy. I've gotten it a couple times at our house. We have a lot of it on our property. After some exploring, we blew up our air mattress in the tent, and Rob started the campfire and cooked up some delicious burgers for dinner. We slept great, and Atlas thought this was the coolest bed to wake up on. Even though the car was packed all the way up, we still forgot Atlas's pack and play, which would come in handy during the trip at times like this. But we made it work by deflating the air mattress for him to play on, since the ground was so wet and he's crawling so well now. Rob cooked up some eggs and bacon for breakfast while I watched Atlas play some. We went to the beach at our camp, and the water felt really nice, and Atlas and Theo loved it. But there were so many greenheads. So we decided to pack up from the beach and do some fishing and crabbing. There's this drop-off at the park where you can fish and crab off of, which we had a lot of fun with.
A little fishing, got some crab pots in the water.
We caught many little fish and crabs. Then we went back to camp to start another fire. No thanks. We all loved its warmth, including Theo.
S'mores master.
Another good night's sleep approved by our boys.
Packing up for the next spot.
I took this nap Atlas was taking as the perfect opportunity to trim his toenails and fingernails. He's so ticklish I have to cut them when he's sleeping, and he still flinches in his sleep when I'm cutting them.
Virginia Beach, here we go.
That's right, we're heading to Virginia Beach next. Atlas sure is a growing boy that loves his naps. It was an hour drive from Kiptopeke to Virginia Beach.
First time driving through the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel.
We stopped at a local grocery store to stock up on a little more food, brought our belongings into the hotel, and then ventured to Virginia Beach's boardwalk. We used dry ice to keep our cooler of groceries cold when we were camping, and the dry ice worked really well and lasted for a while, but it was nice to have a fridge at the hotel instead now. Atlas had fun tossing the brochures off the bed. As we were walking down the boardwalk, we came across this awesome statue of King Neptune. This bronze statue was created by artist Paul de Pasquale in remembrance of Sidney S. Kellum of Virginia Beach. In 1963, Sidney conceived the idea of merging Princess Anne County, Virginia, with the small town of Virginia Beach. In 2003, the Neptune Festival requested submission designs for a statue. For the past 50 years, Virginia Beach has been holding an annual Neptune Festival. We had dinner, and then it was time for bed to rest for tomorrow's adventures.
There's usually enough water by now. What's that?
It's always harder to find beaches that dogs can go to anywhere we go, including home. So we did have to do some research, and although dogs aren't allowed on Virginia Beach, we did find First Landing State Park Campground, which does allow dogs on their beaches, so we gave it a try. It was a really nice beach.
There we go. There we go.
Because this beach has a campground, they offer amenities such as snacks and laundry, so we're finally able to do some needed laundry for the first time on our trip, mostly because we need to clean all of Atlas's cloth diapers. We had a beautiful beach day. Today we are adventuring to Virginia Aquarium and Marine Science Center. They had so many sea creatures, including multiple breeds of turtles, fish, sea otters, jellyfish, and so much more marine life. It's a really nice place to see all these beautiful creatures, even though I'd rather see them in nature. In most cases, they are rescued animals. We grabbed a delicious bite to eat at Blue Moon Tap House. Then headed down the dock to American Rover for a sail. Rob helped them raise the sails.
I'm used to lifting 10-year-olds, not pulling them down.
Although it was hot, being midday in the sun, we had a nice time aboard this beautiful boat. There wasn't too much wind, but it was nice enough to see the sails up and sail for a little while.
Fuel there for ships
What are you
and
doing,
aircraft of
bud?
the Atlantic Fleet, typically a naval or alert would deliver those players.
What are you doing?
You're
on a sailboat. You're on a sailboat. It was a beautiful day, and as always, it was so nice to be out in the water. We're really missing running free being in the water. Hopefully come spring she will be. Oh, I thought there was one in the next day, we left Virginia Beach and headed to our last stop of the trip, Assateague Island.
Sit down, baby. Little sand crab. little sand crab.
We booked a spot right next to the dunes of the beach, and it was the neatest place to stay. We were so happy with it. We were in walking distance of the beach. We had a great first day in Assateague.
Yeah.
Theo?
We were loving their amenities of a bathhouse with restrooms and this perfect location. Of course, we took advantage of the showers and got bathed up, and then Rob made delicious burgers for dinner over our fire.
Go wash the dishes.
These little guys are ghost crabs. They're more commonly seen at night when they crawl out of their holes to walk down to the water for a drink. When on Assateague Island, you will see many wild horses, which are descendants of domestic animals that reverted back to a wild state. There are approximately 150 horses on this island, according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They are tough enough to survive the scorching heat, abundant mosquitoes, stormy weather, and poor quality of food found on this remote barrier island. Unfortunately, this day wasn't like the beautiful day we had on the beach yesterday. Today there were so many greenhead flies biting all of us, so we decided to leave the beach and take a ride to do some laundry at a local laundromat we found, then grab a bite to eat. We found this awesome restaurant called Bad Monkey. We had some delicious sandwiches. Luckily, when we gave the beach another try, the wind picked up a little so the flies were gone, so we were able to enjoy a nice evening.
Yeah, buddy. In the sand. Atlas. In the sand, Theo. In the sand.
Yeah. Hi, buddy. Hi, bud.
Got the lens wet.
We assumed these horses were after some food those people had. The horses didn't bother us, except for they did pull open our Tupperware containers on our picnic table, which we had some sandwich rolls in. We didn't think they were able to pull the strap open to open it, but they did. But fortunately, we were going back to our spot just in time to catch them. Usually when we were on the beach, they would just be walking along the water. We kept our distance if we saw them walking towards us, and they would just carry on. Local folklore states the horses are survivors of a shipwreck off the Virginia coast, but there are no records that confirm it. Some assume that they are the descendants of horses that were brought to the barrier islands, like Assateague, in the late 17th century by mainland owners to avoid fencing laws and taxation of livestock. The horses are split into two main herds, one on the Virginia side and one on the Maryland side of Assateague. They are separated by a fence at the Virginia-Maryland state line. But don't worry, these herds have divided themselves into the bands of 2 or 12 animals, and each band occupies a home range. The National Park Service manages the Maryland herd, while the Chincoteague Volunteer Fire Company owns and manages the Virginia herd, which is allowed to graze on the Chincoteague National Wildlife Refuge through a special use permit issued by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The sun was setting on our last day on this beautiful island. We're sad to leave, and we wish we could stay here longer, but we're excited to definitely come back one day. Here's where the horses said their last goodbyes to us by eating Theo's food out of his bowl. We're sure going to miss this beautiful place, and its beautiful creatures. We're now waiting in line to take the Funway home back to New Jersey via the Cape May Lewis ferry. It's a really nice 85-minute cruise across the Delaware Bay. Then our very last stop of our trip was Wildwood, New Jersey, to stay at our family beach house with my dad and stepmom. We headed to the house to relax for the night, then stayed over. The next morning we had chicken and waffles for breakfast at Vegas Diner and Restaurant.
Oh. Not Thea's water.
We all hung out for a little while, then it was time to enjoy the refreshing water on this hot day. The water here is usually really calm, and when the tide goes out, there's a little beach you can walk on. There's so many fun things to do here, like swim, fish, paddleboard, dig for clams, or walk the beach. I'm so thankful we have this house where we can all go together to gather throughout the year. It's also in a great location that isn't far from all of us. We ate dinner and then went to the Wildwood Boardwalk to walk and play some games.
Our next game, looking for 3 winners, any horizontal bingo, side to side across any line.
What you doing, big boy?
Our last day, we were all in and out of the water and enjoying this beautiful sunny day. We did some fishing and caught so many little fish. No keepers, but of course it was fun.
Hi, bud! Got it.
The weather was absolutely perfect. We all enjoyed these 2 wonderful days together.
You're on Scott and Diane's boat, buddy.
Exactly where we should be going.